Harris continues to tout her prosecution record and being tough on crime, yet crime is still a major problem in San Fran and other areas of California. The mayor of San Francisco releasing a statement in response to this attempted robbery, saying that violent crime is down in the city and the focus is on accountability. No word yet on what the 17-year-old will face in terms of charges. However, those could come tomorrow or on Wednesday, given that it is the long Labor Day weekend. Back to you.
John, thank you. This incident, again, happening in Kamala Harris's former backyard, where many say she was far too soft on crime. For more on her defund and let loose policies, let's welcome in investigative columnist for the Daily Signal, Tony Kinnett, along with White House and Washington reporter for Politico, Daniel Lippman. Welcome to you both. Thanks, shooting of Ricky Pearsall, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but the shooting could have ended a lot worse. And it's not only sad, it's also an example of what can happen when progressive policies become law in the San Francisco, molded in part by Kamala Harris. Tony, how concerned should we be about her policies there being deployed across America if she wins the White House?
It's a very good question. So there's an old folk tale from the Mediterranean about King Midas, who everything he would touch would turn to gold. Kamala Harris is the exact opposite of that. As we can see from San Francisco, everything she touched turned to mold. And that's exactly what her policies on crime, on letting criminals off the hook, canceling entire swaths of drug investigations because someone in her own office was stealing from the evidence room. And that's the kind of policies that she brought forward to the Senate and her corrupt dealings there, and then to the vice presidency, sitting in her executive suite playing solitaire for 3 years when she wasn't championing Bidenomics or the border disaster as some type of success. This kind of nonsense has followed her entire career. And now the Democrats want to put her at the top of the ticket and give her the steering wheel to the country. I cannot say this enough. What a disaster of an idea. The worst run city in the country to the worst run White House.
I hope people are listening, Tony. Jason, as we mentioned, this shooting happened in broad daylight, but San Francisco officials, as John reported, are claiming violent crime is on the decline in San Francisco. Could that possibly be true?
Well, I think that if you look at the statistics, crime is down in a lot of major American cities. But just like inflation, people still remember the first couple of years of the administration and how in 2021 and 2022, there was a lot of crime. And I think you saw with COVID lockdowns, people were feeling, kind of ill at ease, and there was just more crime because of that. And what's also been interesting is how Harris, while in 2020 she was talking about abolish ICE and decriminalizing immigration, now she's leaning much more in terms of being Kamala the cop and the prosecutor. And she's making that a big part of her campaign, especially given that Trump has been convicted in New York, has faced other charges. And so she has seen how the Democratic Party, as well as the country, has shifted more towards helping cops and supporting prosecutors, cracking down on crime. And she's talking much, you don't hear her talk too much about criminal justice reform. Remember, Donald Trump had the First Step Act. He's not talking about that either. And so you've seen a paradigm shift in both parties on this issue.
Well, it's unfortunate, in my opinion. A recent Ipsos ABC News poll shows that likely voters think Trump is stronger on certain issues like the economy, inflation, and immigration in the southern border. But Harris is seen as stronger on health care, protecting democracy, and gun violence. That same poll shows that Harris has a 4-point lead overall over Trump with adults. Tony, your thoughts on this polling?
I just think it's really funny that the issues that are consistently at the top of concerns for Americans are the ones that Trump is leading at the present time and has led since he announced his candidacy for this election, whereas Harris is leading on all of the soft science areas that aren't necessarily at the top of any top 10 list when it comes to policy concerns. And we talk about healthcare. Harris's ideas to destroy the entire private insurance industry so that we can have a waiting list like Canada or the United Kingdom's is the kind of nonsense that Americans are rather concerned about. We all understand there are problems with the system, but her take a gasoline barrel and match to the entire system style of policy is not something that Americans are looking for. Immigration, crime, inflation, those are things that Americans have consistently shown they trust Republican leadership with more. It's kind of their trademark. And after the last couple of years, there's a real quest for that kind of stability in the administration again.
Daniel, I have time for one more question. The ABC presidential debate scheduled for September 10th, although both campaigns had initially agreed to the same rules as the CNN debate. As you know, the Harris campaign has been discussing the open mic issue, trying to put this debate in question, apparently. I thought it was a done deal already, but it sounds like Harris might be trying to back out and blame Trump for it. What do you think?
I don't think she's going to actually back out. She's going to be there on September 10th. She needs this debate just as much as Trump does. But it's almost a staring contest between ABC News and the Trump campaign on one side and the Harris campaign on the other, because Harris wants the mics to be open. They think that it's advantageous for her, for Americans to see Trump interrupting her more often. And Trump, you don't often see him on the same side of a news organization, especially one like ABC News. And so they're sticking to the original debate rules, which were agreed to by the Biden campaign. And so we'll just have to wait and see who wins on this one. I probably think that they're going to have the debate, but the mics are going to be closed when the other candidate is not speaking.
All right. Daniel, Tony, excellent insight today. Thanks so much for being here on a holiday.